Hey, we can run this down.
We're good. I'd just like to go to bed by 8:30, okay?
I think we can make that work.
I was like, you're good. You're good.
I mean, not that it's accurate. No, just looks nice.
We need to put something there. We should put a poster in the mayor, and then where's the mayor's posters?
Yeah, a cut out of the. You're good, Mayor, or, Mayor. Okay. Paula, you ready to go? This, before I call, you don't want to address, the council, right?
Yes.
Oh, you do, okay. That's not on the agenda. That's fine, you can do it, just go ahead. After the pledge. All right. Close the session, Paula, you can do the roll call, please.
District 1 Alderwoman Anna Carrillo.
Here.
District 3 Alderman David Emery.
I'm here.
District 4 Alderman Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
District 3 Alderman Richard Hughes. And District 5 Alderman Matthew Martinez are absent.
Okay, thank you very much. You all join me in the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And we have Ms. Laura Reyna, who would like to address us. So please step up to the podium, give us your name and your home address, and you have 3 minutes to talk.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Good evening, Council, Mayor Pro Tem. My name is Laura Reyna, and I live on Adams Street. I am a resident of Lytle, and I'm here to address the item on today's agenda, which is the budget. I understand that Council is considering priority items and looking at finalizing or working on items for the fiscal year of 2026. What I hope that Council will consider is infrastructure. Apparently, or I feel like this is a generational thing now. My mother-in-law was here years ago complaining about the drainage on Adams Street. There was a study done, and it was estimated it would be about $150,000. Not only my mother-in-law was here, but a neighbor who is still there. She was here also, and another neighbor. The 3 of them were here because they had been living with this problem. And they were told, well, the street was done badly, so it runs off. It would have cost about $150,000 then to do the job. Council set aside $50,000 to get it done. Nothing was done. The $50,000 sat there, and it was eventually moved into the general fund. Because by that time, well, the excuse was it's probably gone up by now because we haven't done anything. It's probably more. The street hasn't been paved because we understand drainage is going to have to be done. What they were recommending was that there was going to be a line done from Easy Street over up to the railroad, and that's where the drainage was going to go. So they figured they would have to tear into their street. So part of Adams Street has not been done because, well, we're going to have to do drainage. Well, drainage hasn't been done, so the street hasn't been paved. And the street's not going to be paved because eventually drainage is going to be done. So we're left with flooded yards and a bad street and nothing being done year after year. What frustrates me is seeing other expenses that have been done. Most recently, purchase a real property for over $200,000. That's frustrating because to hear excuses like, well, we can't work on drainage. And I don't just mean on Adams Street. I know there's other streets. I know there's other areas that suffer. I know there's work being done with the new lines that's causing the same effect into other yards. And it's a lack of oversight over the work that's being done by these contractors that's causing this problem. I don't know if you had your attorney look into remedies to that for the contractors so that the city doesn't have to bear the cost of fixing it. But it's this problem throughout. So it's frustrating to hear that infrastructure isn't being looked at when real property is being purchased. I don't know what the property is going to be used for. It wasn't itemized on the agenda. There wasn't any discussion. There wasn't anything listed. There wasn't a budget amendment to say where those funds were going to come from. I'm assuming general funds, but it's surprising that there's over $200,000 in funds to purchase property when clearly infrastructure needs to be looked at. Again, Adams Street has been a problem for years. And I anticipate that because it's now 2.5 years, and I know the roads are going to be back on an item probably to be done. I don't anticipate Adams Street is going to be on it because of the drainage. The road floods and the drainage needs to be fixed. And I understand, why are we going to fix the road if we're going to have to tear it up? I understand. But do something. Our yards are full of debris and runoff this whole week. My neighbor behind me, I know she's called the city crying because it was up to her ankles. It's a problem. I know Councilman Martinez isn't here. He's my neighbor behind me, and he suffers the same thing we do. So he can tell you firsthand. When I was on council, I was told we can't do that project because it wouldn't look right because you're on council. I hope that Councilman Martinez doesn't hear that same thing because he's on council and it's his street, because it wasn't fair for me then, and it shouldn't be fair for him, and it's not fair for the people who live on Adams Street. Thank you. No. Part of Adams Street was paved up into maybe Somerset, but it's Adams that curves into Dawson. And you can ask any one of those neighbors there because I know they post it. Yeah, go to their Facebook page and you can see pictures of their yard.
Okay. Let's move on. We are to item 4, presentation, discussion, direction concerning budget for fiscal year 2025, 2026.
All right, Mayor and Council, and Pete, if you want to come up as well. So the first few that we just kind of want to go through, since Council hasn't had a chance to look at those ones yet, is the utility side. So we had the general fund last time, and we'll get to those as well, just some updates that we've provided. But we'll say the water fund, which is the first one we'll talk about, I left on the dais as well because this afternoon I made some quick little changes to it after looking at it with Pete, and so wanted to relay that. As a general statement, as you're going through what was provided in the packet as well as what's on there, you'll see a lot of kind of the tan color items that are highlighted. All of those are either inactive accounts or being moved to various accounts. The problem is because they were already shown in these various funds, we do have to kind of keep them there and show them there. But I wanted to make sure we can also get y'all some clean versions so you'll see. But generally, we do have to show it at least there and show what we're kind of doing with that as we go forward. So you'll see a lot of that, unfortunately, in here. And that's just as a part of our general cleanup that we've been going through with myself and Yvonne here. So really from a, I guess, revenue standpoint on the water side, the biggest kind of impact you'll see is we're obviously increasing the water service fees. And this is as an effort, one, that we're seeing obviously continued growth, but then also we're some of the efforts that we're going through with the wastewater rate study. Obviously, we'll see some increase water service fees just naturally from that with the increases that we're seeing. So yes, yeah. So that's kind of built in. Now, conservative numbers. Obviously, we always stay fairly conservative. Yes, yeah. And so we have that here, kind of thrown in here, and then just some I would say bigger highlights, interest earned. Obviously, you see a massive increase on that. That's because that's some of the funds that we moved over into tax pool. So we're seeing obviously a bigger return on interest in respect to specifically water related funds that were kind of tied to that in tax pool. No big real increases other than that on the revenue side. When we get to expenses, you'll see salaries and wages has dramatically changed. One of the things is in looking at trying to ways to kind of balance out various funds. Last year, we did move one of our utility billing clerks into this into water. The other one stayed in the general fund. This time, we have moved both of those individuals into the sewer side. So that's why there's a massive decrease in the salary and wages that you see here. But this does include the salaries that obviously they are currently making, plus the 3% that we tied in and we showed y'all last time as well during the general fund conversation. So that's still built in, and we'll have more conversation as we go through the evening about that 3%. Obviously that then does change your normal Social Security benefits, all that kind of stuff, retirement. When you get down to, let's see, just want to highlight some of these big ones. We did slightly bring down the new water meters again. I think last year we budgeted 75,000. We brought that down to 60. The problem is we don't want to keep too much on the shelf because they do have a shelf life, obviously, and the warranty starts once we get them. And so if they're not able to get out with some of the leaks we've had, we want to make sure we're being okay with that. So we did knock that number down a little bit. The miscellaneous equipment. So, and this was increased from, again, this is one of the ones that got increased after this evening. So this does include, just like in parks, we included a new mower for them. Public Works' equipment is pretty much shot. So we've added that. It is a zero turn. It's $5,600 for that. Yeah. So, and I think Pete probably has more details on that, and then also some additional weed eaters, just general, that was built into that.
It should be, yeah. It's a yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a Kawasaki model.
It's a Gravely
Oh, okay.
Gravely something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the Kawasaki. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So,
That's what you need.
yeah, that's, yeah. What's the range on that one?
That's a 52 inch.
Yeah.
So it should be a good,
Yeah.
good size.
Still getting it around.
Yeah.
If it's on the trailer,
If
yes.
it's on
Yes. Yeah. So we have that, and then we've added that also to parks, the same one. So that way we'd have both of those added there. And then just want to, and Paul reminded me, make sure you guys turn on your mics just so we can hear it. Just there. The backhoe payment is still in there. This is the budget proposed here will be the last cycle that we'll have to pay that backhoe payment. Just wanted to give you all a heads up on that. So that will actually roll off after the next year. And so we'll see that. The capital improvements on the water system. So this was actually a line item that was originally kind of a wash for the bond, but we're moving the bond, since those are dedicated funds, to their actual own fund. And so that's why you see a less amount there than you have in the past, but we obviously have system needs. And so we still wanted to stick a decent number there for that purpose. Really, some small changes here and there, but then the other one that would be a new thing would be another vehicle purchase for Public Works. And that's at $70,000. And so that's something that we really need, and I'll let Pete kind of explain why, but we really need an additional vehicle over there. We're pretty much full staff now, but we have multiple people riding together, which is fine, but they do need an additional truck really to make sure that we have, enough spread of our guys in where they need to be. So I don't know if you want to add anything and
Yeah,
why you're
it's
looking.
another truck. It's a Ford F-350 with the gooseneck hitch,
Oh,
4x4 to pull that big trailer. We got that 40-foot trailer.
It's not dually.
No, it's just a regular pickup. And the one I'm driving right now, it kind of struggles to pull it, So we need something heavy duty. It's a diesel.
So all of that, and one of the things I'll note that you'll see the debt payments towards the end, and that's on the second page of the water fund. You have the bond payment and also the interest payment, both coming out. And I will say that those are really the big reasons why then it shows us in the whole 505,000. So obviously we would need to figure out how we shore that up. But the big part of that is the fact that we have those bond payments that are coming out of that section. So I just wanted to highlight that. And again, we'll talk about that when it comes to the general fund as well. Sure. Yeah.
That's a work truck, not a,
Yeah, it's a work.
Yes. Yeah. Fleet vehicle. Yeah. Before we move on to anything else, any other questions in water? I mean, I tried to highlight some of the big items in there. A lot of the other kind of changes were just trend type changes. We're seeing higher expenses in some areas, and so trying to match that a little more appropriately. 3% across the board, and you'll see that on the general fund too when we get there. But the reason there was such a decrease in this one is because moving out one utility billing and putting both into sewer. So you'll see a bigger increase in the sewer side too, because of that. But okay. So if no questions on water, we can move on to sewer. Looking through here again, you'll see the salaries and wages a pretty big increase, and that's again moving both of them in there, and obviously the related Social Security overtime, that kind of stuff follows suit on that front. The consulting engineer again was an original wash of the bond funds, and so those really need to be separated and in a completely different area. So that's why, but we expect there's still probably some need for engineering throughout as various projects or things pop up, and so we wanted to stick at least some money in that. We continue to hold $200,000 in capital improvements to the sewer system. Big portion of this is to ensure if the motor goes out, we want to make sure we can pay for it because we've had issues in the past with that. And so no change there, but just wanted to make sure. That's why that number is so large in comparison to what we're seeing as a trend in the activity. Added some additional funds to just general repair and maintenance and system equipment. Let's see. And that's primarily the big changes on the sewer front. Most of sewer did not change too much. Any questions, concerns? All right. And the last utility is obviously our new stormwater utility fund. And unfortunately, our resident left. But obviously, this is our attempt at trying to address drainage concerns throughout the city. As you all know, we are working on the master drainage plan. They obviously are in phase 1 of that, but obviously additional phases to complete that out, we want to be able to pay for. And so we're showing obviously a complete wash or zeroing out of what we're collecting. We're obviously spending. It may not be ultimately that, but that's what we're proposing at this point. to make sure that we are paying for that master drainage plan, because that was council's main focus as a part of that. Correct. So, and then obviously as we have that, then we can identify and tackle, projects like Adam Street or anything like that pops up. So currently we have that 89. Yeah. As of when I pulled it, right? So it may not be this last billing cycle that hit, but yeah, when I pulled it, that's what it was. Yeah, and that also does not include, if you recall, the school district was kept out exempt until July. So their first billing is actually this next billing cycle. So they will see an increase to that amount that's coming in. And I think that's part of why we have it as a 200,000. And again, that's still conservative, but yeah. So yes, yeah. Yeah, or phase in or anything. Yeah, but yes.
So before we leave the utility fund,
Yeah.
we've been talking on camera and off camera about training and getting certifications. Where does that play in on the budget?
So we have both in. Let's see here. I have two comments on it, but first I want to make sure I'm highlighting some correctly here. So we do have, and I.
Is it just a general fund that we take it out of?
Yeah, so we do have some seminars, travel, training kind of budget. It says there we consolidated it, but then it broke off. I can't remember where we consolidated that into. Maybe in.
One of the things we want to focus on this year is making sure we get up to par.
Yeah.
On certifications and
Yeah.
training that's necessary.
And one thing I will say, so my first thing is, yes, we do normally have in each of the departments, we have, our travel and training type budget that helps, support some of those efforts. Second to that, specifically with utility, right, and what's going on, I will say in the salaries, what's built in and what you see in those numbers is the idea that Austin and Pete would get their license in order to, and then obviously the money that comes along with that. So we wanted to build that in because we wanted to obviously encourage them to continue to do that effort right for us. And I mean, it benefits them and also us in the end of the day. So
Definitely benefits the city.
yes, for sure. So we did want to build that in to make sure we're, capturing that when that happens. So yeah. All right. Unless there's any other questions on utility, I'll let Pete go and we can. You're good. You're good. Thank you, sir.
Nice shirt, Pete, by the way.
These are new uniforms. We actually got them cheaper now. I switched companies, so.
So you go cheaper, it helps budget.
It does. It does.
Way to go.
Everybody's equipped with uniforms.
Yeah.
Good. Those
That
are
they won't go and,
lightweight, breathable.
yeah,
you know,
for real, yeah.
Look good.
Shirts and pants.
Yes.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we'll move into general fund. Obviously, y'all have seen the majority of these, if not all of it, already. But we've obviously updated. Most of it's been updated with the physical activities, so just to see where we are year to date, and then we've made just some small tweaks here and there as we've gone through in adjusting the proposed budget. The first page, which I also reprinted for y'all based on just some small changes this afternoon, is your general fund summary. So this covers your revenue and your expenses for all the departments that are handled within the general fund, which is pretty much everybody except for the public works side of water and sewer. And so you'll see everything there. One thing I would like to note is obviously kind of middle to low end of the page. You can see, and then it's basically the same on the last page there. We're about 313,000 in the hole. So somehow we got to figure out where we can balance that out. And I have a few suggestions, but we can get to that at as a part of the conversation. So one thing I will note, and if you recall, and I'm not saying not to do the police vehicles, because we definitely need the police vehicles, but if you recall, a big chunk of the increase we saw in the general fund was 250,000 alone just in the police vehicles. So that's a huge chunk of why that's so high at that 313,000. So that's your general fund summary.
Yeah, touch CDs or anything.
So we can, yeah. So that's what, if we want to talk about that now, we can. So
No,
we have-
but it's something to consider.
we have CDs that we can touch, and we have just some general, like we have the tax pool money that, to basically shore up the budget. You
That
have,
money's there for a reason.
you do have, that ability. And those would be my suggestions, is that we either consider closing out some of those CDs a little bit earlier than the maturity date, since we don't get a penalty from Lytle State Bank to do so. I know it's been, hey, we'll wait till they mature, but maybe that's not a reality given the situation. And so that's an option, and cash those out and just use that. Or we just use fund balance that's in the bank, and we shore up that amount that we're off. So
Let me ask the obvious question, I guess. I know we've closed out several CDs in the last year or so.
Yeah.
And some of those have been floating around there for quite a while.
Yeah.
Are we building any CDs anywhere? Are we constructing, making any money into CDs right now?
very little we're getting off of the CDs. So one of the things, the percentage, I think our highest one is at like 3%, but there's some that are like pennies that we're getting off of those CDs, right?
My question, I guess, is
Yeah.
we're not intentionally setting money aside.
Oh, no.
To, make a new CD.
No.
And dump money into it.
No, sir. No, sir. The way, and I think we talked about this when we went to when we talked about text pool and moving that direction, is there was a time when the investments, it made sense to do CDs. It's just that is not where the money is right now. So until that changes, and it may never change, but until that changes, that would not be, as the investment officer, that would not be my suggestion to go spend our money and our time on additional CDs. So, yeah. I think text pool is where we're seeing we just had that quarterly investment report the last meeting. I mean, you saw in, two quarters, I have more than I saw in probably a year and a half, if not more than that, with the CDs. So, yeah. So, we rotate, and I think I've told this before, we rotate in our kind of just usual operating bank account anywhere from 1.5 to 2 million, just rotating in and out, as far as where we're using, we kind of fluctuate between those two, that within that parameter. So we have money. It's not like we're,
Is
You
that
know.
account an interest-bearing account?
that's not an interest bearing account. That's our usual everyday, we're writing checks out of. Yeah. So, yeah, but we have money, obviously, to be able to do this. I think what we're going to see is probably this year and maybe even some next year, until we see these data center hit, more commercial coming, we might have to, get into our bank account for a little bit and shore up things. I mean, and that's why the money's there, right? Like that's what it's there for. So there will come a time where we don't have to do that, but for now, I think that's where we're at. So, and to note, this also, even on the admin side, right, where we have the taxes, we haven't got the final numbers. The certified values don't come in until the 25th of this month. So we have an idea based on the estimates that they provided us, but that also contemplates an existing tax rate. So, if we decide to move up the tax rate for any reason, that's going to obviously change these numbers around as well. So the more revenue that's going to bring, then obviously that number, that delta changes. So.
I was just going to say, and to go back to the original subject.
Yeah.
investment in the police vehicles is a one-time thing. We're not
Sure.
leasing them.
100%. Yeah.
Well, not one time for the next maybe 3 or 4 years.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yes.
it's a
Yeah.
one-time expense.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's why, again, I'm not suggesting we need it. Obviously, I mean, I don't think chief comes to you. I appreciate the department heads that we have because I've been in cities where, you know, they want to ask for everything under the sun. I don't think the department heads here are you know, they really try to live within the means if possible, and they're not going to come to you if it's not something that's absolutely necessary. And so I truly believe that, you know, we do need those, but again, it is, yeah, that one time 250, and in a couple years, we'll probably have to do it again, but for now, it'll get us down the road.
Yeah, I agree with that.
For sure. For sure. So yeah, I mean, again, and I don't want to spend too much time unless there's specific ones that y'all want to talk about for sure. But again, this is all really just updating y'all where we're at physical activity wise, show you those accounts that we're going to be kind of moving around. Other than that, the departments really did not change. So, you know, the admin, the one thing, there's a couple areas that you might see some blue highlighting, and those are things that some more conversation probably needs to happen around. One of those, Councilman Rodriguez, I know is one of yours, you know, that you've been talking about for quite some time, is the Chamber of Commerce expense. That does come out of hot tax, which all the hot tax expenses, we're creating a separate fund for those, since those are dedicated funds anyways, or restricted funds, I should say. And so that would not be in these expenses if we continue to do it. But the question I know has come up is, should we continue to do it, right? And so that's something to note, and we can have some additional conversation later on. I have all the expenses now that we've done, so we can have that conversation at a later date. But you know, that's where that highlighting is, and so you'll see some of that where it's just some of those things that we need to internally keep talking about. Let's see. So that on, and again, nothing really changed on the animal control, just shored up a few accounts here and there. Again, you know, we consolidated those quote unquote Christmas pay, you know, that we give everybody into the salaries. That's all there. And again, that's showing those 3%. With animal control, you have another situation where we have an interim director and we're not paying her the total amount that the director normally would get. So we did build in, if that is ultimately council's desire to keep her as director after that 6-month probation, then you know, we could offer her more salary based on where we've been, and then bring in another employee, and that employee is built in as well. So yeah, anywhere where we had a vacancy, we didn't get rid of that in the salaries. We kept that in there. So yeah, just want to make sure that's clear.
On the animal control,
Sure.
Is there any major improvements or remodeling?
Yeah. So, and we did go back and look at a few things after the last meeting. The biggest thing is the roll-up doors. Those did not get taken care of. All the other fascia and related stuff did get taken care of. I've asked her to try to get some quotes for me so we can really make sure that we have enough. Either let's get it done this year if we got some room in there, or if we need to build in a little bit more into the budget, we can do that for that purpose. But so she's getting those quotes, and hopefully we'll have something.
And those will be included in the budget.
Yes. Yeah. Unless we can get it taken care of this year without that. Yeah. So let's see. On community center, no big change here. You know, we
No,
spend.
I'm good with that. I mean, we've talked about doing remodeling and doing some structural
Yeah.
fixes and so forth.
Yeah.
And I know we're collecting money for it,
Mhm.
or we have money set aside.
Yeah.
Are we anywheres on that?
Yeah. So one of the things, actually, I recently had some conversation with our attorney because if you recall, when we were talking about the Dunaway engineering contract and going back and forth with them, really, I was hoping to get them involved in the foundation engineering that we have to do over there. It is required. I made sure with Austin statutorily, given the price that it would be, we do need to have an engineer actually do up and review everything on that. And so, but I've asked him if they're not going to move forward, then I need to move on and get it taken care of. I'm hoping to try to get something, at least the foundation, done maybe this winter when we have less rentals in general, and so we can get in there and get out before we have stuff scheduled for next year. We do have, if you see there, one of the inactive accounts at the very bottom of the revenue portion is that transfer in from cash, bank, and CD. So that's where Lynette had one of those CDs that we did move over to TextPool already, and so we've moved and made that inactive because it's really not the place to show that anymore. But that's one of those CDs that was dedicated for that. We even closed some recent ones that we dedicated to the community center. So there is
However, it's
funding
still
available.
Right? It still would be available.
Yes. Yeah. And so that money would still be there and we'd be able to use for that purpose. So it'll get done. It's just a matter of timing and figuring out the right people to get it done. So, yeah. We continue to see a lot. I didn't increase the budget on the city event expense, but we are seeing a lot of money spent out of that. One of those is Christmas decorations are quite expensive. So as we continue to try to do things in the community, we're running into just, things are just exponentially much higher nowadays. So I didn't increase it. We've purchased quite a bit. And I think we're probably pretty good. Paul is looking over here sad because that's her kind of baby, but we think we're maybe turning a corner with some of that, but I just wanted to highlight that. So the city event expense is the first one under community center expenses. So currently, year to date, we've spent $116,000 on city event related expenses. Part of that, I will say, in looking at the breakdown of that budget, when you go in the system, some of that isn't supposed to be there. It just needs to be reclassed in other sections, but it's still quite a bit of money we've spent on that. Some of that is will also be paid. We're waiting on $5,000 from Waste Management on the fireworks. So the fireworks was originally out of that. So there's still some play in that number. But yeah. So just wanted to highlight
the
that.
clearinghouse on the old decorations. Have we cleared most of it out, or?
Well, we clear everything out.
And
I want to make sure not everything. There are some odd end stuff still sticking around, but like I would say 95% of it is gone.
Because less is more in this case now, right?
Yes.
Right. Because the quality's gotten a lot better.
100%. I think we got some good things coming for this year out of that 116. So. Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of these inactive ones in the community center, at least in the expense side, we're in that, but don't need to be there. So we're again just general cleanup on that.
Is there any of the hot funds that we can use anywhere in the community center budget? Because like tourism promotion, I see you moved that out, but it's somewhere.
Yeah.
I would think that hot funds might come into play somewhere.
Yes. Yeah, and you have to. Yes, it's possible. I do know that we're getting really awfully close to how much we bring in hot tax. We pretty much are going to be using it. If you recall, we're doing the baseball field lighting out of it. If we continue to do the Chamber of Commerce, if we do some other things that we normally, the music fest, a lot of that's pretty much our portion exclusively out of hot tax. We're getting to a point where it's basically a 1-for-1, scenario there. So we do have some in the bank that's just because over years they just didn't use it. But, we're getting to that part, now. So, and that'll be a separate, shown. Those expenses will all be laid out. Yvonne and I are still working on those in that. So,
one last item.
Yeah.
Community center. the cleaning and maintenance after an event.
Mhm.
We don't need to have our employees going over there.
And they are.
We don't need that.
Yeah.
We need to look at hiring, and it's not somebody that you have on the books that's getting paid, you know, a 40-hour week.
Yeah.
But there are contractual
Mhm.
service maids out there that will come in and do an
Yeah.
event after it's clean.
Yeah.
So they could come in that next morning and do their 2 or 3 hours, whatever they need.
Yeah.
Get it all cleaned up and out. We need to take a look at the costs, and because
Yeah.
I know when we pay our employees, we're not paying extra for them to go clean. However, that should not.
Yeah.
No, I know that there is.
They are getting
person
compensated for
that-
it.
Yeah,
Yes.
there was one person that we
Yes.
had come in. Right,
Yes.
to do cleaning.
Yeah.
But we need to get away from having our employees
No,
go over there and do the cleaning.
I agree. I mean, it does cause issues. It for various reasons, right? So we can
look
definitely
into that and
we can
see
definitely
what-
look into that.
What
Yeah.
the cost would be.
Yeah.
And I know we give benefits to the employees, and I really appreciate them
Sure.
for the dedication that they've shown in the past, but it's really something we shouldn't have on there.
Yeah. One thing, so we used to, and just to give you, so everybody knows from a council standpoint, the community center is done by one of our employees, one of our court employees currently. And then one of our finance employees is actually doing City Hall because we did not, the person that was doing City Hall is got to a point where they couldn't do it anymore,
Right.
just physically. And so they're doing that. And then the person that was also doing the library has also stepped back and not doing it any longer. So we have an employee over there doing that as well over there. So, you know, city facility wise, we can definitely look at, you know, that janitorial kind of expense. One thing that Paul and I did do, and we built into the budget from a janitor, it's pretty comparable to some of the expenses we already had, was the same company that we were using for the new uniforms also have services where they will come in and replace all of our supplies in our restrooms on a certain basis. So we're not having to then, Paula doesn't have to run to Sam's every, you know, weekend or every other weekend or whatever, you know, to go buy supplies for us. They will literally come in, fix it, do it. We don't have to worry about it. And so it was basically comparable to what we were already spending. So we went ahead and did that.
And the rental of the community center, I don't mean to spend too much time on this.
You're fine.
The rental of the community center is still popular, right? We still have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Rental,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So even if we have to increase the rental, we're at a low rate right now.
We're very low. Yeah. Yeah.
Compared to other areas, and I know personally because I've looked in other areas when we
Yeah.
try to hold it back. But even if we have to raise a little bit to help
Yeah,
it,
to help
yeah, please
raise
take a
that.
look at it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll do.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Council, no change on that department. Still the meeting supply is the same and the council allowance there. And just to remember, the council allowance is just for the council members, not the mayor. So that. The library. So no changes on the library from what y'all saw last time, I don't believe. Just showing again the inactive accounts there and the stuff we're moving around. So unless there's anything on the library. I will say that office, that technology expense will, the reason we decreasing or keeping it the same as last year's budget, but the reason the physical activity is the grant that was received. And so that's why that shows so high on that.
We've done several pretty big things over there. We fixed the roof. fixed the air
We had some AC,
conditioning,
the lights. Yeah. So
computers, those are great.
yeah, the grant was the computers. And I think she's pretty good in what she has over there now. I mean, you know, things pop up every once in a while, but yeah, so.
Big things that tend to break like that.
Yes.
Big ticket items. with them,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that.
I'm hoping maybe we're calm down a little bit on
Pretty
that.
likely.
Yes, yeah.
How is the internet? Because I see that expense line on there.
On the library.
Because that's the new
That's Rise.
Cost. Right?
Yeah, that's Rise.
And that's that internet fee would be just the fee for the service, doesn't include any infrastructure.
Well, it's
Or
already
any kind
over
of
there.
equipment?
It's already over there.
Right.
So, yeah, that's just the service
The
fee.
service fee.
Yeah, yeah. Mhm. And you'll see that pretty much that 6336 in almost every department, or at least it covers the buildings, each of the buildings, right? So,
And there was talk about upgrading the computers over there.
in the library, yes, those were covered by the grant.
Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yes. Court, we're continuing. Yvonne and I are really continuing to try to play with this one. Court is just a weird beast, and how on the back end it really was never done correctly. You had years where it was in PD, a lot of the items, and you'll see that on the PD budget where there's a lot of those inactive accounts because that was stuff for court. So we're continuing to work on this one. Again, not much has changed. You see a couple of things that should be really liability accounts and not really in the budget. And so we'll continue to massage this a little bit, which again, that will also change, the final general fund number as we do that. But that's one thing that we're kind of working on. The reason some of those liability accounts is it's money. We had the conversation here recently is like those. It's basically a pass through. We're going to get our portion of the fee, but if Purdue or anybody else is going after them, they're going to get theirs. So we're not really seeing that money in reality. So
Overall, the last year or so, court's been doing a lot better.
court has done a lot better. They and one thing I will note in here, there's a slight increase in their salary. Ashley did get her Court 1 certification, so I did give a little bump in her salary accordingly, as she was able to get that certification, which she's been working at for a long time, and so I'm very happy that seeing that, and as we continue to try to better the city for that. So.
Yeah, definitely. Let's recognize when they get their certifications. Also,
Yes.
if there's anybody that has recognition or certifications and are not using them, or it's not benefiting the city,
Correct.
then we should not be giving.
Totally agree. Parks added, and this is another one that was left because I did make a couple changes, so it's on the dais there. But really, the only change from last time added, my numbers were off on that the mower from what I had originally conveyed to y'all. So that's
1,200?
yeah. I think it was 12. So I've added some additional money in there to help with that expense on that front. But one of the big things I will say, some of this repair and maintenance at 40,000 currently does need to shift into some capital improvement and other miscellaneous equipment and things like that. We unfortunately, right before the July 4th event that we had the toilets in the women's bathroom of the pavilion. So not the concession stand ones, the pavilion, were in pretty bad shape to the point of somebody had, kind of stuffed some things down, and they just, it was a bad situation. So with that event coming, I made the call, we got to get it taken care of. And so we expended some money out of that. Some of that needs to shift around to kind of make sure that we're staying true to the numbers, but just wanted to make sure that's understood why that's such a high item currently.
Was it maintenance, or did you have to actually buy some toilets?
We had to buy new toilets. So the women's bathroom has brand new toilets in the pavilion bathroom, which is great. I mean, the other toilets were like the really low, profile ones. So we've modernized. We got commercial, hooks it out when, and goes. So yeah, I know that's a great visual, but so, And then PD is the last on the department wise for the general fund. Again, no change from what Richie had showed y'all last time, other than me just making sure those inactive ones are shown. So. Weirdly enough, and I think because we had some changes with, even though we added some officers, but you had Gordon leave, who was pretty high, up there on salary just because years and stuff like that. So some of these salaries have kind of moved around in PD, and actually some, decreased in some areas, interestingly. So just nature of the beast. So that's it on the general fund. The last few sections of what was provided, I know that this was really, Matt Martinez, Councilman Martinez wanted to see kind of a breakdown of salaries and where we were sitting with everybody and relative to if we did certain percentage, across the board and what that would look like. And so I provided ones for 2%, 3%, 4%, and 5%. And so just wanted to give y'all, again, 3% is what was proposed or shown in the budget numbers, but wanted to provide that for everybody to see. Not looking for any super conversation right now about it, but I wanted to provide that since that's what y'all had asked to see, kind of full cost of what it takes to, employ, the individuals here. So you have the obviously work hours. If they are part-time, you'll see, less hours work, the annual salary there. The pay adjust is based on if it was built into the budget for additional money, like we talked about, like Melinda, for instance, having the getting the full director pay, it would be that additional amount in that pay adjustment. But currently, she's obviously not at that, right? So that's where that line item, if there is anything in those line items, you have the COLA based on the percentage of whichever one you're looking at. That Christmas pay is what will now be built into the full salary amount, and that's what then breaks down into that new annual cost that you see column, and then the Social Security, TMRS, which is the retirement, and then medical costs. So. So again, don't necessarily need conversation unless y'all absolutely want to, but wanted y'all to be able to have a chance to look at that and see what's what.
And I know these numbers were included in last year's budget proposal as far as salaries and so forth.
Yeah.
One thing I do ask is that when we get ready to submit the new budget for this coming year, that we continue as we did in the last budget and keep the pie charts and all that.
Oh yes, 100%.
Very visual.
Yeah. No, this is really just to be able to talk through these budget workshops.
I'll talk about once we're ready to publish.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that'll definitely all be on there, just like last time. Going forward, we won't, unless, some of those, again, those just little things that we need to have conversations on, we'll have some time in the next sessions to be able to do that. But unless there's massive changes, this is pretty much where the numbers are probably going to be, going into 25, 26. So obviously, again, we'll need to have a conversation of where we pull money to, get us balanced. And so that'll be a part of that conversation.
So our next proposed meeting would be the 7th of August,
I think
on a Thursday.
is that what was in the calendar that I sent out? Yeah. Yeah, I think I put in August 7th, and then I put in another one if necessary, if we absolutely need to have something. Yeah, I think it was a little bit further back. If we absolutely needed to have something, if we're still, trying to figure out something that would change, the 7th is when we'll see those final numbers. So that way, from the taxing standpoint, so that'll be a big conversation under that one is the property tax rate, and then some of these other just odd
Yeah, it was
end
Monday the
stuff.
18th, where you had the, if needed.
The if needed, okay.
Thank you, sir. Looks good.
Not a problem. I know not on the agenda, but just a small plug, and not, I mean, I guess in a way it's budget really. Next Tuesday, since we're talking calendars, next Tuesday we have a community meeting at the community center for the development in the Bear County section that we've talked about previously in the executive forum. If you have more specifics on what the company wanted to talk about.
There's something sent out.
Yes, they did send out to residents kind of in close proximity, and then they reached out to community leaders and things like that. They did want to talk to y'all as well, but he said if they can't make a council meeting, they prefer not to go really officially and talk to y'all.
Right.
Just don't want to cause issues that way. So, but they will be here on the 22nd at the community center at 6 o'clock, and there will be food just like the other development did at the school.
Can you send that letter out to the council members?
I will,
I
yes.
did get some feedback on it, but I didn't have any details on what it pertained to, and
I will.
that is my area generally.
I will, and you and I can talk to. So just wanted to throw that out there. I forgot at the last meeting, but I knew we were having tonight, so I was glad. But yes, I will send all that.
You have to send me that letter.
Other than that, unless there's anything.
Email.
Okay, so,
No
looking
paper.
at the agenda, that's the only item we had on here. Let's just go around. Anna, you have anything else you would like to talk about tonight? Michael?
No, sir. It was
Paul,
very good.
anything you'd like to bring up? Oh, Zach, you okay?
I'm good.
All right, then, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
I need
No,
a
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Those opposed? None opposed, so we are adjourned. So the